Alright, the time has come again for another product stream, and not really any card reveals here, but some promos to help grade 4, spoiler alert. So let's begin. First off, we're going to start with the product stream. Here's the restriction list. Nothing for V, but for regular standard format for D, we got a Monster Strike card, which I'm not going to really care about because Monster Strike is not going to happen in the English side. But for premium, we got a Gold Paladin card been hit. I think it's a Gurgowit Countercharger. Who knows what's going to happen in premium because premium goes crazy. Next, Season 3 Youthberk, which is going to come out in July. I'm actually looking forward to this because this is going to be a hype season. From the background, it looks like Danji versus Jinky, Raika versus Sophie, which is expected, Haruka versus Yutara, which is going to be also expected, Toya versus Masanori, which also looks very expected. But then we get Megumi in the background, which I don't really get why, but Homori versus Sakitsu actually makes sense because of their relationship, even though I kind of prefer Danji versus Sakitsu because they're more evenly matched and they have a history together as well, so those two make sense. Yu versus Jinky is more expected to me, but I guess they just want to put the protagonist in the middle, so I get why. But who knows, we might get Yu versus Gi, because Gi might actually be the final boss of the series. Next, for some promos, here are the V promos, which I'm not going to go over, but this is OTT and Grand Blue, the Grade Lock Consistency Searcher, where you can do the beginning of ride phase like a top 5 for 1 grade higher than your grade of your Vanguard. And then for the D promos, these are going to be basically grade 4 superior ride promos. The Dark State one is called Impudent Slicer, which is a grade 1 with power, and the skill is Act Rearguard. If your Vanguard is Bruce and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost count last 1. Search your deck, soul, or drop for grade 4 Bruce and ride it as stand, but then put this card to your deck and shuffle it. It is nice that you can superior ride from deck or even drop zone on top of it. The only thing is, first of all, this is not Diablo, so it's already weird as it is, and even the design is not for Diablos. But this is definitely going to be a weird card for Bruce because one, it's not Diablos, and even design doesn't really match Diablos. But the big one is Final Rush. The main grade 4 Bruce needs you to be a Final Rush at the beginning of the turn. Perhaps if this was Diablos and it could be used with Vehemence Bruce, this would have been better, but this just overall is weird. But it has a second skill is just a whatever, where Count Guardian, if you have a grade 4 Bruce, this card gets shield plus 10k. All I have to say is original Bruce is just already weird to play, especially when it's slow. So adding Unrivaled on top of it is just already awkward, unless if this does auto at the beginning of battle with the Diablo's name, so at least that Vehemence Bruce can use this. Next, for the Brand Gate one, which is Security Upgrader, which is a grade 1 AK power, and the skill is Act Rearguard. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Seraph and you did not ride this turn, retire this unit and search your deck, hand, or drop for a grade 4 Seraph and ride it as stand. If you search your deck, shuffle it of course, erode, choose one of your opponent's cards in the drop zone and imprison it. And during this turn, the cost of their original auto ability as the ridden unit is decreased by 1 counterblast. The unfortunate part about this superior ride card is that you cannot speed up your turn faster because it says if you have not ridden during the turn. But the nice part is that if you lose your pieces and you don't have it in hand yet, which yes, it's better to go to Pure Light as soon as you can actually use this as another way to search it out. And the fact that you also shrink down 1 counterblast is actually pretty decent as well, even though counterblast is not a problem for prisons. But the increased 1 prison count is also very helpful. So this card can be considered a mixed bag, but another way to search out for your main boss unit is just very nice, especially because it's heavily reliant on that boss unit practically. And then the last one, which is Keter Sanctuary, Sage of Progress Robern. Grade 3, 30 power, and skills Act Rearguard. If your Vanguard is Bastion and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost count plus 1, put this as soul, choose 1 grade 4 Bastion from your hand and ride it as stand. So basically the same skill as the one for Nirvana and Magnolia, just the difference of their grades. Now when it comes to this one, you'll realize that going grade 4 Bastion as soon as you can actually be very powerful, because basically you can get 5 attacks with over 30k power each, and not only that, this card goes to soul, which will actually fuel for more skills, which is going to be Alden basically, which could give you more draws, and this being a grade 3 on top of it just really helps out as well. So this does have a high likely chance to be played, just wish it wasn't a promo. And if we do get a new Bastion that focuses around grade 3s, well, there's the possibility that Bastion Prime and this will still be in the deck. And then we got the start deck sets for 6 to 8 reprints. I have to say these are actually pretty decent reprints, even though some of them are a bit questionable, but overall pretty good. And now for some set 12 news, here's a new revealed ride line, which is also Haruka's main boss unit. And yes, this looks like a serpent based dragon theme, not waifu. And I'm gonna have to say, also looks like a dark state unit, which I was really hoping it wasn't going to be, because I want a mass unit for every nation. So far we have 3 out of the 5, not counting lyrical towards this. And here are some of the collab units that are gonna show up in the set as well. I honestly don't care. But the collab I do care about is quintessential quintuplets, which I was not expecting at all. But I do like quintessential quintuplets because it's one of my favorite waifu animes. Each Nagato girl is gonna be part of a nation? Probably. Wouldn't be surprised if they make one of each girl for every nation. And then we got news for set 13, with the cover being of course another Vairina, in which this crossover dress Vairina looks like a dragon looking knight. And I have to say this one looks very powerful in comparison to the other ones, so maybe the prayer dragon is probably going to be the ultimate prayer dragon, and making this the ultimate crossover dress Vairina. In fact, this one also kind of contains parts from the other crossover dress forms in a way, other than canons, at least based on its design aesthetic. But not only that, in set 13 we also got a new form for Lianorn, and also a new Youthberk Revolform with the mask off, and not only that, an angelic looking Youthberk, hence the light looking aura around it, the light wings, with a spear with Zest, Gust, and Tempest combined. So this might actually be the ultimate Youthberk Revolform. Now will it go back to base form Youthberk? Who knows. But I kind of called it that they're going to make a Youthberk Revolform Divine, something like that, although it doesn't have that name, where we basically get a Youthberk form that is combined with the other Youthberk Revolforms. I was just not expecting the mask to come off, basically. Now, considering that we see a new form for Haruka with Lianorn, will we also get a new Nirvana? And maybe this new ultimate Youthberk Revolform is going to be a permanent Revolform? Because usually if one character gets an evolution, pretty much all the other main characters do. This is why I'm thinking the new Revolform might be a permanent Revolform that doesn't go back, while the new Vairina can practically be using the power of past and present, aka overdress and cross overdress, with a new Nirvana to represent the future. Because honestly, I would be really hyped for that, even though that will say rip my wallet. But yeah, set 13 is already very exciting, especially when we got another collab that I'm not going to care about. And then we get a new lyrical booster 4. And yes, we got 3 new ride lines along with Halloween theme and probably dress up for Fortia and Mimish. Too many ride lines in lyrical, I don't think I need to see more of that. And finally, this might trigger some PTSD, we get stride deck set for Shiranui and Luard. Shiranui orbital, by the way, so that more likely means dominate, especially if they're going to decide to copy and paste the original. Honestly, I'm not minding these as much, especially when these look like expensive products that are maybe good out of the box right off the bat, but they're not like completely over dominant right off the bat. Chronojet was just popular. I'm basically saying that they're not going to just kill the format once they're released. So I'm glad that they're making these not like absurd, especially the strides are not absurdly OP, because what matters in these is usually the strides. But yeah, I am excited to see these, especially some more G love, because G doesn't get enough love in comparison to 2011. I do hope that they do nerf Dominate though, because that one was a little bit insane. And now considering that we got a stride deck set for every nation but Stokea, what will be Stokea? Even though the obvious one should be Neo Nectar with Asha. But then that will just leave out Altmile, which is going to be really awkward unless they make another stride deck set for Keter. So that's it for these reviews. What do you guys think about the promos and the products? The promos are going to be iffy a bit sometimes, but in particular the Bastion one is probably going to be more likely played. Don't care about the restriction list, especially because Monster Strike doesn't exist in the English side. For the product reviews, I'm just overall excited. Just hoping that Haruka doesn't actually play a Dark State, but very likely it is now. And her mask unit as well, which we might get it in set 13 instead of 12. And set 13 I'm just excited overall because that seems to be the final set of Youthberk Season 3 with Ultimate Vairina, new form Lianorn, and Youthberk as well. Hopefully we get a new Nirvana out of it as well, because usually a new Nirvana will also mean a new Ultimate Vairina, especially to fight against Grifogila. And the stride deck sets, 2 more important clans on their respective nations has returned, and these also make sense. Just hope they actually nerf some of it. But I am overall excited, and if they're actually pretty decent, I might actually buy these as well, because Dominate has been something I've been liking, and I am playing Drag Shift Premium, but I do like playing drag shifting, I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, that's it for these reveals, and see y'all next time.